When we started discussing about this event, let's say in late 2021, I was super excited to bring in not only AI together with sustainability, so one of the pressing items in our basically problems that we have globally, but also bring in the research perspective and the startup perspective. And most importantly, but also the cross-country collaboration, which we are now applying with the Israeli part of this and the German part to really bring this cross-country together. Having said this, I think a lot of people, as me personally, are thinking to the incidents happening in Ukraine these days. So basically the horrible war that is coming to Europe. And personally, I'm hoping that this war is going to have a peaceful and very soon ending. And personally, I also think this is another proof that we need to really cross-country collaborate, to use technology to solve problems, work together, and create a world that is sustainable also in the coming years to be coming. Before now diving into our packed agenda, let me briefly say some words about KI.NRW. We basically have the mission to establish North Rhine-Westphalia in a Champions League of applied artificial intelligence and really work on this. So one of the key items is efficient technology transfer, so bringing innovative solutions to the corporates, to the small and medium enterprises. But we also want to create visibility for the research, for the innovative technologies that we create in North Rhine-Westphalia. And this is what we usually do by our flagship projects, Smart Hospital, and some other parts to be mentioned here. But also, we want to basically accompany your journey as a citizen, just to say, okay, where is AI applied in your usual life? Lifelong learning, qualification, all these things that matter to us and we want to bring to life. Now, we are not only doing this event by ourselves. We are basically hosting this together with NRW.Global Business, which is the trade investment agency for North Rhine-Westphalia. We also have strong support from the German Israeli Chamber of Industry and Commerce. And this is basically the main organizing team. And here I would like to thank especially Sharon, Mara, and Philip for their support to bring this all together. Also, we have strong support from a lot of different initiatives surrounded by commerce, but also sustainability, namely NRW Energy for Climate, the new state company for energy and climate protection, but also the IHK NRW, which is the state working group of the 16 chambers of industry and commerce in North Rhine-Westphalia, the Wuppertal Sector Valley, the Israel Circular Economy Platform, and last but not least, the Competence Network Umweltwirtschaft, NRW, the Competence Network for Environmental Economy in NRW. Now, before handing over to Felix Neugart, I just want to give you a quick glimpse on the agenda for today. So after some welcoming words of Felix Neugart, who is Managing Director of NRW.Global Business, we will have a keynote speech by Katharina Morek, who is giving us some insights on how AI can help sustainability, but also how AI itself can be more sustainable. Then we will dive into a panel discussion where we look into how this can all be brought together from a startup perspective, from a corporate perspective, and how we can bring these technologies to life. And most importantly, we will have some real use cases by 3 Israeli startups showcasing how in specific use cases AI can help sustainability. And this is what we are really looking forward to. And without any further ado, I would like to hand over to Felix Neugart for his welcoming words.
Thank you so much, Christian. And ladies and gentlemen, dear partners, dear friends from Israel and from North Rhine-Westphalia. It's also my special pleasure to welcome you all to the event we are offering today on behalf of NRW.Global Business. Christian mentioned it, the Trade and Investment Agency of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia, or as we like to call ourselves abroad, NRW. Christian already pointed out it's not so easy these days to talk about bilateral economic relations. The pictures from Ukraine are really disturbing, and we very much hope that this war will come to a quick end. But we believe at NRW.Global Business in the power of international cooperation, in international networks, and we are convinced that strengthening these networks as we are doing it today can contribute to making at least wars like this in the future less likely. Therefore, I would like to invite you to take a look together and discuss the question of how can the application of artificial intelligence improve sustainability. And I think this is a very challenging but also very compelling topic, and I think to bring together expertise, experts from Israel and from North Rhine-Westphalia, that's a very good thing to do, and I'm very much looking forward to our program today. And NRW is a highly innovative, future-oriented location. We have one of the most vibrant regions within Europe for international startups, and we see a lot of potential to collaborate with the Israeli tech scene. I mean, of course, this is a very potent, very broad scene. So we really see lots of potential dots of connection where we can really work together and improve technical applications. Let me give you a very quick overview of what we have to offer here in North Rhine-Westphalia. Very briefly, we are Germany's leading state in a number of areas. First of all, we are the largest state. The GDP is the largest within Germany, so 20% of the German GDP is created here in North Rhine-Westphalia. We have a huge market potential from here, from North Rhine-Westphalia. You have direct access to a European market, to the large European market. 1/3 of all the consumers within the European Union live in a circle of around 500 kilometers around our capital, Düsseldorf. We have a very diverse, very broad business structure. On the one hand, we have global players, so 19 of the 50 largest companies in Germany are located here in North Rhine-Westphalia. But we have also many SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, many of the famous hidden champions, the medium-sized German companies who are very successful internationally, very innovative. So one-fourth, 25% of all the hidden champions that have been counted in Germany are here in North Rhine-Westphalia. So we offer for all kinds of technologies for innovations, very interesting business partners. We have what we call the densest R&D network in Europe, 67 universities. This is, by the way, more than the Ile-de-France, than Greater London, or than the Netherlands. And we add to this 110 technology centers and non-university research institutions, so really very dense, very attractive network for research and development. And we have also, I think, a very deep talent pool. We have over 750,000 students in North Rhine-Westphalia. So we believe that we are a leading talent factory in Europe, and that you will be able, if you come to North Rhine-Westphalia, to find qualified employees in this pool here. As I already said, we have also, I think, a very vibrant, a very fastly developing startup system. It's probably not as far yet as other locations in Germany, but we are coming with a very large number of startups, and we are developing on all indicators very fastly. And this development is being supported by the state of North Rhine-Westphalia with a number of initiatives and institutions. We have digital hubs, we have networks such as KI.NRW for the artificial intelligence, and many other platforms that support startups and aim at bringing startups from North Rhine-Westphalia together with partners from around the world. We at NRW.Global Business, we are the trade investment promotion agency of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. So on the one hand, we support companies, international companies, if they're interested in coming to North Rhine-Westphalia, if they want to find partners here to settle here in investment projects. And among these companies, we also, of course, have a focus on young, innovative companies, startups, and scale-ups. And we support these companies with a broad range of support services. If it comes to to knowledge on the economic structure, on industry clusters, on tax and legal experts, suitable locations, and other things that are useful for companies who want to come to North Rhine-Westphalia. And on the other hand, we support also companies, also our local companies, companies from North Rhine-Westphalia, if they are interested in going international, if they want to access international markets. We have also a number of support services for these companies. So you see, we are very much interested in fostering bilateral cooperation, in bringing companies, partners for innovation together, and we will be very much happy to get in touch. So if you're interested, if you have any challenge in doing, in finding partners, in establishing contact, in doing business in North Rhine-Westphalia, don't hesitate to contact me or also my colleague Philipp Fellmer, who is here with us in this digital event. And we are very much now, well, I am personally very much interested now to listen to the discussion about the future of artificial intelligence and sustainability, two of the main, I think the main challenges, not only for North Rhine-Westphalia or Israel, but on a global scale, and to hear what the experts have to say, and also as Christian already announced, the concrete solutions offered by the startups. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to a very compelling event today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Felix, for this introductory words. I think this is one key ingredient that we have such a strong trade agency as you are, very much well connected in the world. And I think this is also where we started our discussions to bring not only us, our technology towards other countries, but also bring in other technologies to us. And now I'm really, really pleased to hand over to Professor Dr. Katharina Morik. And just saying one or two sentences. So she started her department on artificial intelligence already more than 30 years ago. So I think we can surely say she's one of the key experts and key people and persons in Germany talking about artificial intelligence. She's running together with Professor Wrobel the Competence Center for Machine Learning Rhein-Ruhr, which is going to be one of the 5 Bundeskompetenzzentren, so basically stately funded competence centers. There's a lot more to say about her, but one of the key things is she's working on a research of resource-constrained machine learning. So how can you really look into efficient use of resources by applying AI? So this is what she's doing since years, and this is what makes this perspective, I think, both very versatile for us. Not only how can AI help sustainability, but also how can AI itself be more sustainable. And having said this, Katharina, stage is yours.
So thank you very much for the nice introduction, and I have prepared a little talk for you. So exactly, this is what you see here is Machine Learning Rhein-Ruhr, which is a collaboration between Fraunhofer and the universities of Dortmund and Bonn. And what I want to show you is just that we are part of this industry and startup region in Ruhr. We have strategic collaborations with enterprise innovation, with Volkswagen Broadcast, our broadcast from West Germany, logistics, pump production, completely CO2 neutral production of pumps, Bilo in Dortmund. We have 30 industry projects that use our results from research. We have startup tech connections with 91 startups. And RapidMiner, that was the startup that grew out of my lab as a world-leading platform for data analytics, and the headquarters is now in Boston, but research is still in Dortmund. We have an ecosystem, and there we have enterprise information systems and hubs for the Ruhr area, many more, and of course the one that is hosting us today. So the prime research is at the universities and the Fraunhofer Institute, and where we do education and training at all levels. So it is not only university level and research, but we also do a lot for schools and education in the factories. So sustainability, well, I must say that I'm so old that I was excited as a pupil by the Limits of Growth publication of the Club of Rome. Since then, I am very much engaged in new technologies for making things more sustainable. The definition of sustainability at the United Nations is from 1987, and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which has just recently offered the most recent report, won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2007. So the Sustainable Development Goals, it's all a story that started in 1972 and it is going on. And in artificial intelligence, we had the workshop on data mining applications and sustainability at the KDD conference in 2012. And actually since then, I'm very much engaged in it. So I edited a special issue in our data mining and knowledge discovery journal. And together with Jörg Lessig and Christian Kersting, I edited a book on computational sustainability. And I must also point at my colleague Carla Gomez from the Cornell University in the US, who has an Institute for Computational Sustainability. So that is the topic of sustainability. And now let us see what AI can do for that. And there I just give you a short sketch of what classes of applications there are. There is, for instance, anomaly detection for early warning of failure. And the example that we worked on here is an injection molding machine where our algorithm from the process data that are measurements during the processing, it calculates a current risk factor. So green means there is risk with this component, yellow means this component could be affected by some failure, and there we actually see an alarm so that the operator of the injection molding machine can directly stop processes so that the energy is not lost in things that cannot be sold anyhow. Then there is predictive maintenance, which is similar. And then there is something which is very general, that is quality prediction while processing. And there are three different things that you can do if you have prediction. So everything relies on machine learning because that is what produces the predictions. The quality prediction while processing can lead that the process will stop as soon as you see that the achieved quality will not correspond to the demanded quality, or you adapt the process such that it delivers high quality, or you even find the best parameter settings of the production on the fly. So that is an increasing difficulty for AI algorithms, and I applied that actually with a basic oxygen furnace, the buff converter that cooks steel, and that is very important because that is an energy-consuming process. Our latest result is on reduced test effort for zero-defect products, and zero-defect is very important if you produce electronical stuff. So the surface mount technology is our application area there where we could reduce the test effort and still have zero defect products. Other areas are traffic and route planning, and there we had European projects together with the Technion in Israel, very exciting collaboration, and of course heating and cooling in homes. So these are just some sketches on where artificial intelligence actually can save resources. And then we all know that the algorithms themselves are consuming some energy. And in our collaborative research center, which I'm leading now since 2011, there we work on how to design algorithms in concert with hardware. And that is something that was completely new when I applied for the research center in 2010, but which is now, we all know, it is common sense now that AI goes together with hardware design. And here I show you this one picture there where you see that if you lose the field programmable gate arrays, the FPGAs, then you use a lot less energy than any other computing architecture. And then what you need is you have to turn the algorithms of machine learning into specialized algorithms for FPGA. And my PhD student, Sebastian Buschjäger, did a terrific job on specialized algorithms for decision tree ensembles. Another one is algorithms for integer arithmetics only, because if you only use integer numbers, then you use much less resources. And therefore, even the complex Markov random fields, a probabilistic graphical model, could be turned into an algorithm that only uses integer calculation and therefore saves incredibly much of energy. But as you see here in the picture, it is not reducing the accuracy too much. So this is the correlation between the true accuracy and the accuracy in the integer version, and you only see some spots where it does not correspond. That was the PhD thesis of Nico Piatkovsky. And now we have seen we use a different engine, and we see we use only integer arithmetics, and now we become even more to just binary calculations. And so we take neural networks, and we know that deep neural networks consume a lot of energy, and therefore we do quantization of the learned models, and we only have then not even integer, but only binaries. And also this has been exploited for execution on the FPGA, so that it does not use more energy than, for instance, a light bulb. And then for learning, new approaches are now with my current students on its way, and there you see that the energy consumption and the accuracy, energy consumption and accuracy is such in a way that, of course, if you do a lot of quantization, the correctness is decreasing, but these are all the cases where the energy saving implementation is the best of all compared methods. So you see that there are some cases where the energy saving algorithm was the best. And most often DenseNet was the best. So this is just to give you an impression and to show you where this ML2R, which will become in the next month the Lamar Center, where it is located. And you see here the other competence centers for artificial intelligence, which I am coordinating. And yeah, and that is just it. So thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Katarina, for this nice presentation. I think it was showcasing, especially as I was expecting, how can you use machine learning to actually save resources, to be more resource efficient, but also how to use algorithms and specific hardware to be more resource efficient while applying this. And I think this is two of the flip side of the coins that I think we need to be working in parallel to drive these discussions forward. Now, before diving into the panel, let me just briefly introduce who is going to be joining Katarina and myself for the panel discussion. It's going to be Christina Süß from Phoenix Contact. She's bringing basically the corporate side of things into this equation, and she's working since 2006 in facility management and bringing technology to, establish more ecological efficient ways of bringing those facilities together, but also obviously saving resources, saving money. This is always what companies are looking for. And also we will have Avi Lufczyk, who is founding partner and general manager of Noah Capital. It's a venture capital firm that is investing in climate tech companies in early stage. And he holds a PhD in physics from Imperial College in London and has had a lot of various positions before. So I'm very happy that you guys are joining us. And before we dive now into the new participants of this round, let me ask, Katrina, one question to you. So you were referring to this example of steel production. Can you somehow quantify the benefits, like in terms of resources consumed less, or the money that people can be saving with this?
Yeah, of course, there's a lot of money, in particular in those industries where you need a huge amount of energies, that is particular in steel. So that's why I am very much interested in steel production and in all the stages that are there. And with a buff furnace, we could justify 40,000 euros per day per furnace that is saved because of this very subtle prediction of the right moment to stop the cooking, which is extremely difficult. and therefore what the engineers know is a period when to, an interval when to stop the process. And what machine learning can do is to exactly find the point in time because of its predictions. And that is saving exactly this amount per day.
I think this is quite impressive numbers, to be honest. I think steel production usually is not accounted for the margin-heavy industry. So I think that is actually also very well seen by the CFO of these companies. Maybe asking a question into the direction of Christina. So we've heard that the company has ambitious goals, yeah, to making the entire value chain climate neutral by 2030. I think that is more ambitious than a lot of official regulations would be saying. So in which regard does artificial intelligence application play an important role in this regard, and how can it support you there?
We have one example. We want to improve our buildings. We want to go efficiency with our buildings. So when we start decarbonization, we have to look to the buildings. What can we do? We have to look to the production. What can they do? And so we want to improve with KI the sustainability in our building. For example, for the HVAC system, there we look to the detection of failure, of anomaly in the HVAC system, if they work in the right way or they have a failure, and we look for the best parameters of setting this technical equipment. So the algorithm is quite important for us, and the KI is very important. So that can help us in the predictive maintenance part of the buildings, maybe. Mm-hmm. And this is for our local side, but we have over 100 buildings worldwide, and that's quite important thing when we looked over the world.
Okay, so you would be saying you're just gonna starting it, and it's gonna be more important for the global rollout in the years to be coming.
Yes.
Okay, I was wondering, so looking into your direction, Avi, now, so obviously your VC fund is looking into climate tech companies. So why is the focus on climate tech, and why do you think it's beneficial also to start early to invest? Yeah, maybe giving some strategic directions or whatever. Yeah, so some insights would be nice.
Well, thanks for the question. So there is the short answer and then the long answer. The short answer is this is right. This is the right investment right now. We don't understand any other investment at this moment. We do understand that we're facing global warming. We do understand that regulation won't be enough to stop global warming. And it also has to be a combination between regulation and technology. And we in our capital understand that combination between regulation on one hand side, it's politician, it's COP26 or 27 or 25, doesn't matter. To regulation could be in the international level or in the local level. It's only one side of the equation. The other side of the equation of global warming is technology. And without technology, we won't have any chance to meet our goals. And so we as a fund, we do understand both the impact of investment in climate tech technologies. On the other hand, we understand the financial advantages that we have right now in investing in those technologies. It could be anything relating to global warming. It could be energy storage, smart transportation, smart, as we heard before, steel construction, prop tech, agri-tech, food tech, anything that relating to carbon reduction in any aspect is relevant to us. So we are looking for investment in early stage to put our money in those technologies. We do understand that we have some technology in Israel, but not just in Israel, all over the world. And we're seeking after these companies or these startups to be part of them, to help them to growth, to invest our money in their company, and to try to solve that problem. And that's what we are doing right here in North Capital.
Yeah, what I liked very much was the introductory statement of saying, because it's right. Yeah, I think a lot of people understand that the questions around global warming, sustainability, and Katrina was mentioning the Club of Rome book, 50 years, is, I think it's currently celebrating its anniversary these days. And I think the positioning it as the right thing to do. I think that is very well said. You were also saying so that technology will play an important role, and there would be wondering from Katarina. So there's, I think, a trade-off, because if you use AI and it costs a lot of energy, etc. Yeah, so people could say, yeah, but you're not helping sustainability, but you are basically worsening it. But obviously, your research shows, okay, there's ways to mitigate this. So how can people with a good feeling manage trade-off between using AI but also using it responsibly?
In my perspective, the question is for me?
Well, I would put it as Katarina first, and maybe if you have some insights, go ahead afterwards.
Yeah, that is actually why we do all this research, because sometimes you have the option that you use a lot of money for training the model once under some consumption of energy and storage and so on, and then you transform it into even binary. You can even train it in the binary version. So we are looking into both, and we are always looking into Pareto front. That is, we have multi-objective optimization. On the one hand, we want to use less resources. On the other hand, we want to have some accuracy that must be guaranteed. And therefore, for each application, we find a different point in the Pareto front. And as I said, we can solve some of the optimization problems using less energy than an LED light bulb. So this is possible sometimes, and sometimes, of course, you know, these language models are extremely rich in training them, and you have to think about whether you really need them for this particular task. So I think natural language is really difficult, but in production and so on, we always found solutions, and in the future that will be even more, that do not use a lot of energy during the application of the learned model.
That sounds very promising. Avi, you...
Yeah. So I would like to answer the question on my perspective, in my perspective. So AI, basically, it's a tool, or it's a methodology that helps us to use technology. I can tell you that like 95% of the entrepreneur that I'm facing them, they're saying we're going to use AI. So at the end of the day, it's a tool that enable us to maybe expand or accelerate some technologies that can take us like few years, and with AI, they can do it like in few days. So in my perspective, if I found a technology that using an AI to enable, to expand or accelerate or to make things quicker or faster, that's in my point of view, it's energy saving, not energy consuming. For example, I give just a short example. I met a company a few weeks ago that trying to optimize the garbage collection in a municipality area. They're using AI. So tomorrow morning, they can reduce approximately 20% of the trucks that are traveling in our cities in order to collect much more sophisticated the rubbish that we junk we throw to our junk. So with AI, they can reduce the number of trucks. So in terms of energy consumption, or in terms of trade-off between the using of AI and the other hand is CO2 emission, I would like to use AI in order to accelerate those processes. So in my point of view, if a technology or a startup or entrepreneur using an AI, not just as in a buzzword, but actually to help them to accelerate the things, that's a win-win to all of us.
Yes. Can I say also something?
Sure.
Sure.
It will be quite important for us as a company because we want to get decarbonization the company, and we need more solar, we need more air energy. So I have a sector coupling, and I want to produce everything I have if I have enough energy. So when the wind is outside, the sun is outside, I maybe have a buffer system, maybe a battery buffer. So then I can produce. So it's quite important for us to show which consumption I have in my firm, which consumption in the moment for the production side. So I have to handle with this, and KI is a good process to improve these things and help us in the company to manage all the things and to go efficiently there.
So I see Katharina wants to add something to this.
Yeah, maybe I can add something because we know that engineers always do good models. Why is an artificial intelligence model sometimes better than the model that engineers already have developed? And that is the question they both add, actually. We have the engineer model, and that is for the laws, for the general case. And then our machine learning models can adapt to very specific situations. And that might be in routing, as is with transportation, that you very on the fly, directly when it happens, you can predict what will happen in 3 hours. And therefore, you can change your processing. And these very specific, personalized, individualized predictions are possible only with machine learning. There is no other way. You cannot, the general laws are by the engineers, and the specifics and subtleties in real time and in distributed processing, they allow to organize less centralized, less distributed systems to run in real time.
Yeah, I think thank you for this addition. And at the end, I think this gives me a very good feeling. I had it before, yeah, to say, okay, if you look really into the use cases, really into the applications, then there is a lot of fine-tuning that you can do to really produce not only helpful algorithms, but also ones which are not resource consuming. Maybe before we now hand over to the startup pitches, I would like to add one last question towards Christina. So, how do you personally or Phoenix Concepts benefit from outside inspiration, especially from startups, in your daily life at Phoenix Contact?
In the moment, we have one startup where we was monitoring HVAC systems. It's Addion from Germany, but we have also other startups. We have also one startup from Israel, Siganet. We cooperate with them, but it's not my department in there, so I can something say about Addion. With Addion, this is a startup from Cologne. We improve the HVAC system, the technical equipment in buildings, and not one system. We want to go to the sector. Maybe it's a cooling water sector, and the system what's behind there. It's we come from the one equipment and goes to the whole system. The measuring of a room, for example, it's quite for heating, warm water, heating water, cool water, and we want to improve the whole system of buildings. So that is a thing what we are doing with Addion.
Okay, that sounds very promising. So basically bringing a tool, which Avi was mentioning, towards your company, which then helps to get fast progress on this. So having said this, and also giving the startups still the chance to also present themselves, I would like to thank you guys very much, for this discussion. I think it was brief. I think everybody of you guys will be happy to receive further questions from the audience. I think personally, I take a lot away, especially that it's going to be a helpful tool and it's going to be the right thing to do. So let's work on this, and now let's hand over to some startups here. And I would like to start with, let me look on my list, with Addionics. And basically they are looking into the architecture of batteries. And without further ado, I would like to say one thing to the audience. So if you have any questions for the startups, please put them into the F&A section of the Zoom call. And for the startups, it's going to be 7 minutes, and we need to be somehow harsh on it, as you know it from the other pitches. So, stage is yours.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. So I'm Gilad from Addionics, and let me just share my screen. Oops, it's not the right screen. So Zoom is doing some problems. I will share the entire desktop. Perfect. You can see the blue presentation, right?
Yeah, now it counts.
Cool. So I'm Gilad from Addionics, and today we're going to be speaking about batteries. So the world is obviously on the verge of electrification. The industry that is leading this revolution is the automotive industry, but not far behind, we have the renewable energy industry. And believe it or not, in order to create this very important transition to electrification, there's a key component called batteries, and batteries are going to play a key role in this revolution. So what is the problem? The problem is that batteries today are still insufficient in terms of capacity or driving range, in terms of internal resistance or charging time, and in terms of cost. And we need those few factors to be improved in order to complete the electrification revolution. And why did the world didn't create those batteries yet? Because most of the companies, almost all of the companies that have tried to improve batteries in the past 30 years focused only on the battery chemistry, and billions of dollars have been spent towards this direction. And in order to create the next step change in battery performance and cost, you need to focus also on the battery physics, and this is exactly what we're doing. We're changing the battery architecture to create a real high power and high energy battery without increasing the cost. And what does that mean? We allow moving from two-dimensional electrodes to three-dimensional ones. The three-dimensional electrodes, instead of being only one layer, it's a porous structure. We then have higher surface area. It allows us to accommodate more of the active material, but it also has a few more technical virtues. It allows to reduce charging time by getting reduction in internal resistance, increase mechanical stability, improve heat dissipation, which allows to improve safety parameters and the lifetime of the battery. The biggest advantage of the technology is the fact that it's chemistry agnostic. It means that we can improve or enhance any kind of battery in the world. And we're already doing this today, not in the world, but with a few chemistries that we'll explain about it. We're also a drop-in solution. We're not going to build our own battery facilities. We're going to sell the 3D electrodes to other battery manufacturers. And it's possible to integrate this solution into any battery assembly line, which is pretty unique. We produce both anode and cathode, which is also pretty unique. And we consider it a sustainable solution because we prolong the lifetime of the battery and can work with any kind of materials. So how does this have to do with AI? We're not only using hardware for this solution, we're also using software. We developed an AI-based algorithm to determine the best battery design, the best battery structure according to application. That means that we actually change the porosity and the thickness and the structure of the metal itself in order to coordinate or to optimize the performance of the battery according to the application. It also helps us to improve the manufacturing process, to accelerate the manufacturing process, and of course to reduce costs, which is one of the most important things. So in general, how does the AI improve things that we are doing or can improve, has the potential to bring improvement to the whole industry? And today, as far as we know, in terms of battery design, we are maybe the only company that is using this. So design structure, improve performance. If the performance are improved, you need less batteries. The better heat dissipation and mechanical stability eventually bring the battery to a longer lifetime, which means less generation of waste. We reduce the waste. It also means that you can use less CO2 eventually. This manufacturing process also helps us to reduce the amount of materials that we're using, which helps us both to improve the cost, but also to reduce waste. This battery fabrication process and the understanding of how to do it in an optimized way helps us to use less energy when creating the battery. Less energy means that we reduce the energy that is required to manufacture the battery and the time for that. And we're not doing this yet today, but it's also possible to plan structures that will be more efficient in terms of battery recycling, which is like a huge thing today. Again, getting back to the cost, the AI helps us to reduce the battery cost in terms of material, in terms of battery layers, and we expect to reduce cost by 10% in gigafactory scale. And because of all of this advantage, we already have, although we don't have a commercial product yet, only development phase, we already have collaboration with big companies from the automotive industry, of course, global industries. And because we're chemistry agnostic, we're developing a few kind of batteries with our structure, a silicon state battery, a silicon battery, a solid state battery, an LFP battery. And we have 2 projects that focus on NMC with 2 out of the 5 biggest, I would say, European car manufacturers. So this is our project today. And our vision is eventually to integrate our solution into any battery in the world to accelerate electrification, to create a better future for everyone. And actually, AI is one of the tools that would help us, and it is helping us to achieve that and hopefully to achieve more of our goals in the future. Thank you very much. And if anyone has a question, I'm here to answer.
Yeah, thank you, Gilad. I don't see any questions in the chat. So maybe briefly, very briefly, is there any concrete example that you can give us where your technology is improving sustainability?
Sure. So I talked about it shortly on the presentation. So if you understand how to optimize the manufacturing process, it means that you can use less materials. So if you use less materials, you reduce waste on one end, and you can optimize the manufacturing process, which helps you to achieve the batteries or the performance that you want in a much faster way. And the other thing that is really important is because we use smarter structures, which is based on our AI and modeling, and because we understand how to optimize the best structure, we can create batteries that will last for a longer time. If it lasts for a longer time, again, it creates less waste. And also in terms of application and the products that are using those batteries, so they need to replace them in a much longer gap of time. So in a zoom out, it creates a good and a positive impact on the environment.
Okay, that's great to hear you. So thank you very much. Yeah, and now let's hand over to CropX. Yeah, where we would see some speeches how to do better farming with AI, and handing over to you.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me well? Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, CropX is an ag analytics company founded in Israel in 2015 with the sole vision to revolutionize and automate the farm and the decision-making process by mastering the insights of the soil. we're addressing one of the world's biggest challenges today, the need to grow more using less. Weather is becoming erratic, the cost of water and fertilizer keeps increasing, and these inputs are not renewable as they were before. And the world population is doubling. So these are hard challenges that we have to face. So the only thing that we have now is to help growers optimize production and save on inputs. When we started our journey, we realized that despite hundreds of ag tech startups in the space who all promise farmers the same thing, right? Grow more using less. Most of them focused on above ground data, like satellite imagery and drones and cameras. That is data that is easier to get compared to soil data that requires using soil sensors that are horribly cumbersome, complicated, expensive. But when it comes to irrigation management, to fertilizer management, the above ground data doesn't allow you to be predictive and preventive, only reactive. By the time there are visible signs of stress that you can detect from an image that was taken from space, the damage has already been done. But by monitoring the soil in real time, we can really be predictive. We can be preventive, knowing that a plant hasn't received what it needs before the plant does. And that's what CropX is all about. So by developing the world's most scalable soil sensing solution, we revolutionized irrigation management. And then later on, we expanded to handle nutrition management and crop protection management. The way it works is that our soil sensors measure soil data and transmit it directly to the cloud, where we automatically integrate it with topography, crop models, weather data, satellite imagery, soil maps, hydraulic models, and everything gets crunched in the cloud with very advanced machine learning algorithms and AI to provide bottom line insights to the farmers via the app, insights that are crop specific and growth stage specific. A lot of it involves AI. For example, by learning from thousands of data points, we can now automatically detect the active root zone depth and apply just the right amount of water at the right place at the right time to go directly to the root zone and not pass it, which will lead to contamination of groundwater, for example. We collaborate with the entire ag food value chain. We normally don't sell directly to farmers, but we work with companies that are already embedded in the ag food value chain and provide services to farmers, like agrochemical companies and ag insurance and irrigation equipment manufacturers, agronomic consultancy, and more. And the value that we deliver to the end user has helped them save on inputs or optimize input application, maximize the yield potential, and becoming more environmentally sustainable. Here's just one example out of many. This is a 50-hectare pivot irrigated alfalfa field in Arizona, where we ran a one-year experiment comparing the automatic irrigation prescriptions generated by CropX to the farmer's standard practice. And we managed to deliver 10% more yield with 40% less water. This was just one example out of many. For example, we had 68% water savings in grapefruit in California, water savings and yield increase in eggplants and lemon in Japan, and more. You've mentioned how we're sustainability. So by optimizing input application, low saving on inputs, and maximizing the yield, we actually tackle all of these United Nations SDGs. You can read about these online. I think that for the sake of the time, I'm gonna skip. Just taking the data that we've seen from our experiment and extrapolating and taking into account that we're managing more than 2 million acres worldwide, we saw that we've already saved more than 1.5 million tons of carbon, and our water savings is also very significant. We started selling in the United States in 2017, then we rapidly expanded worldwide. We're now deployed in 47 countries. During the global pandemic, we actually quadrupled our sales and became the leading company in the world in terms of real-time and solar data points, with more than 10,000 systems worldwide. This huge deployment now allows us to develop machine learning models that require huge amounts of soil data that really no one else has. Deep learning neural networks, for example, for automatic detection of root activity. This is just one example. We've established ourselves as the market consolidator, having completed 3 acquisitions in under 2 years, and each one of these acquisitions added both technological and commercial capabilities. All of these are publicly available. You can read about these online. We had great partnerships. This is just a few of them. For example, we partnered with Brinky to help them offer this is one of the world's largest irrigation system manufacturers. We help them offer their clients a more advanced irrigation system, not just, delivering water from point A to point B, but actually understanding how much, when, and where to irrigate. We partnered with NASA as part of their mission to tackle food security, and we help PepsiCo help their potato growers grow potato more sustainably. We have an amazing team. You're going to have to trust me on this, but for the sake of time, I'm going to skip. And we're backed by a world-class syndicate of strategic partners and investors that really cover the entire ag-food value chain, who are supporting CropX with vast industry knowledge and expertise, like ag-food VCs and data VCs and food processing and agrochemical companies, trading, manufacturers, and more. You remember her? You probably remember him too. Thanks for your time. Questions?
Yes, thank you so much. I also look into the chat, see no questions. What I was wondering, you were just mentioning NEC and they were doing some kind of strategic investment into your company. What is basically how you can help NEC benefit from this investment? What are they expecting from you guys to get out of it?
You mentioned NEC?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So NEC is also already has an offering in agriculture. We've already had a very successful proof of concept where we actually integrated into their the CropScope platform. We've already had trials with tomatoes and sugarcane in multiple geographies, and we are basically we are part of their offering for irrigation management, for crop protection management.
So it's basically what we were saying, expanding that technology stack by getting your technology
embedded into theirs. That's correct.
Great. With a little bit looking at the watch, I would say thank you, and I would now hand over to our last startup pitch, which is David Kahl from Wasteless, and I'll hand it over to you.
Well, thanks very much, and great opportunity. Hope everyone has a little bit of time still, because we have no time to waste, and that's why I'm going to talk about a company called Wasteless. I'm going to tell you why there's such a profitability in sustainability. Before I go into this, I'll tell you quickly what we do, then I'll tell you the bigger picture, and then I'll tell you why we do it. We are a company that helps retailers, so supermarkets, become a lot more profitable by helping them sell food that's already on their shelves and sell the food rather than throw it away. So it's Lebensmittelverschwendung that we're actually preventing. We're very active in North Rhine-Westphalia, not in the least to some of the people in the call here. We're working with Edeka. We're working with Metro AG, where we have a global integration. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the bigger picture first. And if you talk about sustainability, and this is a message for all of you, whether you're in the food system or not, take a look at drawdown.org. It's a US-based meta study that actually looks at 100 solutions in every single industry that can help you, your customers, your suppliers become a lot more profitable. One of the reasons, obviously, that I'm quoting this is that they're very, very focused on replacing, reducing, and biosequestering. And if you look at the drawdown solutions out of the 100, out of the top 20, 8 of them have something to do with the food system. The food system is one of the biggest culprits of greenhouse gas emissions. It's also one of the biggest solutions. And the biggest single solution actually on their list is to reduce food waste. I was going the wrong direction. So data is the key to that, because data can make food a lot more attractive. And what we do at Wasteless is we help you as a consumer pay the exact right price for a product based on expiration dates. Now, why is food waste such a massive problem? The total value of the food system is about 10 trillion euros. But the cost of just food waste is $5 trillion in terms of biodiversity loss, water loss, hunger, and of course, greenhouse gases, especially methane. If we then zoom in to supermarkets, which is where you're probably going to go after this call, food waste in retailers is actually bigger. The cost price of food waste in retailers is actually bigger than their profits. If we look at US data, the combined EBIT of US supermarkets is 8 billion, while the cost price of the food they throw out is more than double, 16.5 billion. Why is this? It's because if you go to your supermarket, you have food that's competing, food that's complementary, and food with a shorter expiration date is not as attractive as food with a longer expiration date. Still, they have the same price. It's a massive opportunity that I'll go to. If anyone here is in the food system, please reach out to me and I'll tell you why it's such a huge opportunity upstream as well as downstream. But the key is that preventing food waste is where we should start, and this is really where Wasteless is well positioned. What we do is we help retailers mark down food based on data, based on expiration dates, based on sales, based on the risk of food being at risk of actually going to waste. And at the moment, supermarkets are really doing it without any data. They're really doing it stupidly. They are using business rules from the 1970s, where on the last day, they apply a big discount, whether it's 35% or 50%. It's too much of a discount, too late, and not taking the actual problem into account. And that's why food waste is a bigger greenhouse gas emitter than the airline industry. This is why food waste causes 10% of greenhouse gases, causing biodiversity loss. Wasteless, and I'll show this video to people that are in the system, in the food system, if they want to reach out to me. I'll skip it for now because it's a short presentation, but this actually tells you why AI is the key to doing things better in retail. What we do, and this is in Münster, we have a tool that can either be completely integrated or can be manual, fits entirely into the way supermarkets work, and we find for this chicken, for example, the optimal price point based on its date, based on the competition of other products that are as attractive or more attractive, and we use a price incentive to find the optimal price point. It's working. It's working in the sense that we reduce food waste by more than 40%. We do this with an end-to-end integration, making supermarkets a lot smarter, and all of this in a very simple way. We've actually been able to double the revenues for some of our customers just by managing the shelf better. This is my presentation. I understand that a lot of you are in the food system. Reach out to me. All those that are not in the food system, do read drawdown.org because we have no time to waste. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. I was just seeing some chat message saying, okay, there is only a fraction of the food waste is actually happening in the retail stores. And I was actually working in the supermarket when I was at school, and I've seen a lot of food waste actually being delivered to the trash can. So, but what would you say, okay, in addition to what we can do in the supermarket, how can we also tackle the question of how to reduce food waste in private households, or also what can municipalities do to drive this?
Yeah, so Marion Solbach actually has her numbers right, because it's 5% of food waste is indeed in supermarkets, more than half is at home. But, and I love this question, supermarkets is where the farm meets the fork. If you look at Germany, hundreds of thousands of food producers meet in just 10,000 supermarkets with 80 million consumers. So if you can change behavior in the supermarket, you as a consumer have the opportunity 3 times a day to consume in a more sustainable way. You consume in a more sustainable way by eating less meat or no meat, less animal proteins, but especially if we help you understand in the supermarket how to prevent food that's being wasted, which is caused mostly by expiration dates, we can also inspire you to do that at home. The second is, and this is a bit more of a real retail question, is by tying it into loyalty data. So we can also help you manage your shelf, your fridge at home. Because I'm sure that if you go into your fridge now, there's stuff actually that you should eat today or tomorrow, while actually you're going shopping still. So by becoming smarter, more aware, we can actually help achieve that as well. We have plenty of ideas together with UNICEF, together with the World Wildlife Fund, to make you a happier customer. And this is great, because if you can save money while also saving the planet, that's really the start to preventing the greenhouse gas emissions that are destroying the future of our children. So thanks, Marion, for this question. It's a question that's very dear to my heart.
Yeah, thank you so much, David, and thank you so much to everybody. I would say, obviously, what you were just saying is creating not only the awareness in the supermarkets, but also maybe extending the reach of this data-driven solution towards the households, to help. Yeah, and that happens actually to me as well. Yeah, to say, oh shit, we need to throw it away at home. And I think making this better, I think everything that we don't throw away is a good thing. So
and also, Christian, sorry for interrupting, but at the moment, the food value chain has a lot of perverse incentives. So everyone is overproducing because you don't want to sell out. And by using the data of the supermarket to then use that to create a much more demand-driven production system, that is really where data comes in. I showed you a quick graph of the Boston Consultancy report that really talks about that opportunity. But I only had 7 minutes, so you have to pick your battles. But if anyone is in the food system, reach out and I'll tell you how you can make more money by wasting less.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the famous last words of your presentation. Looking a little bit at the watch, and I think we have some 6-7 minutes left. I would basically say thank you to all the participants, to all the speakers for today. I was very happy to have Katrina Moore speaking about this trade-off, not trade-off, but basically driving sustainability with specific ML solutions, but also being very resource constrained with the ML algorithm that we apply. I think the panel showed, okay, there is a lot of actions and areas where we can use AI as one tool to help in sustainability. And I think when we are looking to the startup pitches, what I like is the diversity of solutions. So discussing how to waste less, or how to save water when it goes about farming crops, but also making one of the key items like electronic mobility with the batteries more sustainable. I think that is a wide range of applications that we've seen. So this makes me feel way more energized than I was even before. And I think that is just some examples, but there's more to be coming. To finish it up, so I thank everybody for this nice, for participating. One maybe item I would like to give you to as one of our cooperation partners. So the third batch of the Circular Economy Accelerator will take place in Wuppertal from early June until early September. So basically, if you want to apply, and I think Ulrike will be also putting a link into the chat. So this is one call of action I would like to hand over to you. And also from the KI.NRW side, we've been choosing AI and sustainability as one of our key topics. So we have recently launched some blog posts on how AI can help with sustainability, and also we will be looking into some impulse papers for different applications of this. So watch the space. There's much more to be coming. And maybe one thing I would like to highlight also is the KI Welten, or the KI worlds, where we basically show how AI is basically applied in different areas of life, which is a very nice tool of, where you can see where AI already plays a role in your life. And lastly, if you are interested in any discussions on AI, how to apply it as a company, whatever you would like to do, just feel free to reach out to us, and just get in contact with us. We're there to help. And having said this, I thank you for your participation and hand over to Philip for some last words from NRW.Global Business.
Yeah, thank you, Christian, for the introduction. And having an eye on the watch, I try my best to wrap it up rather quickly in a nutshell and do some call to action, so to speak, for all of us. So in a nutshell, my name is Philip. I work for NRW.Global Business, the state business promotion agency of the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. Just to recap rather quickly what we do investment support for companies and tech startups from Israel who want to invest and settle in NRW. We try to connect you to the right networks, to the right partners here in NRW, just like KI.NRW and other clusters, so that you can start growing and start doing your activities here. On the other hand, for our NRW companies, we do trade and investment promotion in foreign markets and helping them with delegational trips and fair representatives to do the first steps and to penetrate foreign markets with their products and services. So if you want to get in touch with us, there are two possibilities for our Israeli partners. The easiest way is most likely to get in touch with our representatives in Tel Aviv. This is namely Sharon and Mara. They are part of our team on the ground in Tel Aviv, so feel free to contact them. You will find all the contact details also on our website. And for the companies from NRW, you're always free to reach out to me in any regards covering Israel. What's on the agenda for the next month? So you can join us live and meet me and Sharon and Mara live in Tel Aviv on the 29th of March as we are taking part at Access innovation event in Tel Aviv. And for the NRW companies who are willing to have a trip to Israel covering the topics of smart mobility, we are hosting a delegation trip from the 8th to the 12th of May 2021 to the EcoMotion week in Tel Aviv. So to wrap it up, thanks again to all participants from Israel and from NRW, to all partners, to the startups, to the panelists for taking part in our panel. A big thank you to all our partners for the support and for the organization of this webinar. And let's keep in touch. Let's stay connected. This is what counts in hard times, and it what counts and let's stand together in hard times such we are facing them today. Thank you very much, Toda Rabba, for your attention and for taking part. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.